Is the Trudeau regime now using terrorism laws to debank peaceful protesters? Stay tuned on Tech Shark. Welcome to Tech Shark, bite-sized news for conservatives surfing the net. It's easy to understand why people under communist regimes hid their money beneath their mattresses, as big government will do just about anything to control private money when it's threatened. Canadian Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland sparked outrage as she announced that banks and payment processors will have the power to shut down accounts associated with protesters. The Canadian government appears to have followed through with a vengeance. Freeland announced February 17th.
The names of both individuals and entities, as well as crypto wallets, have been shared by the RCMP with financial institutions, and accounts have been frozen, and more accounts will be frozen.
Commentator and retired academic Jordan B. Peterson gave his take on Twitter that accounts will be frozen means the Canadian government can now steal your money with the collusion of banks because you provided financial support to a protest against the government. For those of you who aren't caught up, a group of Canadian truckers calling themselves the Freedom Convoy went on strike to protest COVID-19 mandates. GoFundMe suspended their fundraiser and announced that it would distribute the vast majority of the collected money to other charities until it eventually backed down. The lesson then was clear: don't let your money depend on the whims of liberal platforms. The problem is that even when Freedom Convoy truckers began to fundraise on GiveSendGo, the platform reportedly got hacked, leading to the leak of the donors' personal info online and subsequent reprisal of liberal mobs against private citizens and businesses. The Canadian government has flaunted its totalitarian approach to public dissent. When asked about who might have their bank accounts frozen over politics, Canadian Justice Minister David Lametti warned in an interview.
Look, you've just compared people who may have donated to this to the same people who are funding maybe a terrorist. I just want to be clear here, sir. This is really important. A lot of folks says, look, I just don't like your vaccine mandates and I donated to this. Now it's illegal. Should I be worried that the bank can freeze my account? What's your answer to that?
Well, I think if you are a member of a pro-Trump movement who's donating hundreds of thousands of dollars and millions of dollars to this kind of thing, then you ought to be worried.
Now here's the shark bite. The real threat to democracy isn't some potential invasion of Ukraine. It's soft-spoken totalitarians in the Western world like Trudeau. I've said it before, I'll say it again. What separates Western liberal governments like Canada, America, or Australia from foreign tyrannical regimes is merely a matter of tone or style. You can get away with crackdowns on protesters, censorship, and war crimes if you have a few rainbow flags and don't offend BLM. That's enough for some people. One particularly dark observation from commentator James Melville really brought it home for me. If Vladimir Putin did what Justin Trudeau has done to try and suppress the truckers, media and politicians across the Western world would be condemning his actions right now. A similar comment from the account ostensibly representing journalist Sophie Cochrane said, if Trudeau wasn't the PM of Canada, but a country in the Middle East, then we would be calling him a corrupt dictator by now. Now that said, some liberal commentators like Bill Maher have more or less acknowledged that our normal leaders aren't that normal anymore. There's been a turning point in how they talk about their citizens.
But he was talking about people who are not vaccinated. He said they don't believe in science. They're often misogynistic, often racist. No, they're not.
That was not part of him at all.
Right. He said, but they take up space. And with that, we have to make a choice in terms of a leader as a country. Do we tolerate these people? It's like, tolerate these? Now you do sound like Hitler.
No, that was...
And recently he talked about them holding unacceptable views.
The question now is how conservatives are going to respond. Commentators around the world have been sounding the alarm in recent days. Conservative Partnership Institute Senior Director of Policy Rachel Bovard slammed the Canadian government and observed it is part of a much larger problem across Western civilization. Weaponizing the banking system over ideology is becoming a pattern in the West. Bovard also responded to the doxing of citizens for donating to the convoy's Give, Send, Go, and Twitter allowing the info to spread unabated on its platform. Twitter's hacked materials policy was only and ever about having a pretext to ban any newsworthy stories on Hunter Biden before the election. It's meant to protect the politically powerful, not the politically unworthy. The Canadian government first came after bank accounts, then it came after payment processors, and now it's coming after cryptocurrency. The question is, what do freedom-loving people like us do about it? Well, luckily for you, that's going to be the theme of interviews coming up next on Tech Shark. Thanks for watching Tech Shark, brought to you by MRCTV and Free Speech America. Have a good week.